Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett. He's a member of the House Oversight and Foreign Affairs Committees. Congressman, thanks very much for being here. A lot to discuss with you. I want to first get your take on your investigation, you and James Comer, into the affairs of the Biden family and their business deals. Do you know the whereabouts of the informant?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Is he missing?
Apparently, yes. According to Chairman Comer, you know, the telling thing about this is that our Federal Bureau of Investigation and our Justice Department have basically just turned a blind eye to all of this, and now it's come down to the point where Speaker McCarthy has to have a one-on-one meeting with Director Wray over just the way that they've handled this and bungled this thing from the start. You know, they went after George Santos, and as I've stated, he's relatively small potatoes. Yet when you have over 10 million reasons to look at this White House and what's going on and corruption and influence peddling, you even have a report that they've issued apparently, but they are not very forthcoming with it as well.
This is just extraordinary, as you know, Congressman, and we are trying to get to the bottom of it. Marjorie Taylor Greene said she actually told the Gateway pundit that the whistleblower is not missing, but that's not what James Comer said. James Comer said it was the informant who's missing, not the whistleblower. So I mean, does the FBI know that the informant is missing? Have you had any information from the FBI in terms of whether or not they're going to look into this? This is stunning, I think.
Yes, ma'am. Again, what's telling is that the FBI doesn't give a rip. They're not. They just basically sent a flippant return to us about our inquiries into this whole mess, and it just keeps getting deeper and deeper. You know, you've got the then Vice President Biden was lecturing the people of Romania about their ethics and corruption. At the same time, his son and his business associates were taking over $1 million from a Romanian who was basically under investigation for corruption. You know, it's an arrogance that goes beyond belief. I've said that when they went to mob school, I think they were asleep during money laundering, because they have obviously, you can follow the money. The money comes from Chinese nationals, from Romanians. It flows into business accounts. And it's very clear. They set up these LLCs after Joe Biden was vice president, and the money flows to them, to 9 family members. You've got grandkids involved in this, the minors. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous, Maria. And for the Democrats and the national media and the FBI to apparently be in collusion together on this thing is even more telling. So we've got a lot of work to do.
It's absolutely stunning. These are the most serious allegations leveled at a president ever, and the mainstream media just will not cover it. Congressman, you just said that this had to get to a one-on-one meeting between Kevin McCarthy and the head of the FBI, Christopher Wray. Has that meeting taken place yet, or is that meeting ahead?
No, ma'am. I believe it's happening this Thursday. And I was surprised it took so long for him to get to it. Commissioner Wray, you know, they've just given us, as we say, the Heisman. They've pushed us off everywhere we've gone, and this is another example of that very, very same thing.
Well, what is the thinking in the Oversight Committee if the FBI doesn't budge? I mean, look, you know that James Comer has sent out a subpoena. He wants that document that he says he knows exists, that is actually proof that Joe Biden was part of a bribery scheme. But the FBI is pushing back, blowing off the subpoena, saying it's not going to release it. So what levers do you all have to get to the truth?
We have the power of the purse, Maria. The Congress is this country's checkbook, and we can start cutting funds to the FBI. They've bungled so many cases as of late, and they continue to do so. And their arrogance is such that I think it's not the rank and file FBI agents. They're generally very patriotic Americans, and I know many of them in my area. And they are hardworking, patriotic folks. It's this top level of arrogance that we've seen, and it is the swamp. It does exist, and that's what we'll have to do. We'll have to start cutting their checkbook a little bit just to get them to the table if that's what it takes. And I'm for that because they have they've just not done their duty.
Well, this is all extraordinary. You know, you have confirmed to us what James Comer told me yesterday, that the informant is missing. He's gone missing. We have no idea why. You have confirmed what James Comer told me yesterday, that the FBI and White House are obstructing justice. And you're telling me that there's a one-on-one meeting with Kevin McCarthy and Christopher Wray so that the House can actually push back on the FBI and its lack of curiosity and its lack of work on any of this. So we're going to be following it. You're talking about arrogance. What about the arrogance of nonstop spending? We had 40-year high inflation. The president says he's going to resume these debt ceiling talks with the House Speaker tomorrow. Here's what the president said. Watch this.
It's never as good to characterize a negotiation in the middle of a negotiation. I remain optimistic because I'm a congenital optimist. But I really think there's a desire on their part as well as ours to reach agreement.
I mean, we don't know what he's saying, Congressman. You voted against McCarthy's debt limit bill. You were among just a few to vote against it. What was the biggest problem for you?
We just can't keep spending money, even though the Republicans cut several just trillions of dollars. We still have added $1.5 trillion to the debt. The Democrats and the Republicans have got to get real about this thing. We are spiraling out of control. China, our debt, and our education. Those are the three things we need to be focusing on. China controls a lot of our debt and apparently some of our education. But our debt is something that we should be able to get together and say, hey, we've got to prioritize the spending, and we're not doing that. Too many pet projects, too many special things, and two, we need to look at the Pentagon. Pentagon comes back and they have billions of dollars that they can't account for in their audits. There should be no sacred cows, yet there seems to always be one. And at some point, Maria, we got to sit down and do this, or we are damaging our credit in this country beyond belief. And so we used to say we're borrowing money from our kids. We're borrowing money from our great-grandkids. This is a disservice to our country.
That is really sad. And you make a great point that China holds all of this debt. Real quick, Congressman, so basically what you want is you want a lot lower spending levels. Is that what you want that would get you to a yes on a bill?
100%, Maria. I need you sitting at the negotiating table.
Congressman, thank you. It's always a pleasure to see you. We appreciate your time this morning. Thank you. Tim Burchett.
Thank you, ma'am.